In recent times, I've noticed that people have been quite disconnected from one another. But I have found that there is this one thing that humanizes us, that allows us to feel the same emotions, that sparks creative ideas, that changes the way we think, feel, and even the way we act. And it gives us a real opportunity to bond with each other. Stories are magic and one of the most powerful tools on the planet. Everything in our world is connected to a story in one way or another. It's not just the movies and shows you watch, but it's the music that hits your eardrum, the most fascinating conversations, the books that have changed your perception on the world, the strongest movements, the history of our past, the way we've fallen in love, and so on. Storytelling has the power to change the way you think, to make you trust, to make you happy or sad, and it's even how Hitler used propaganda and nearly took over the world. My life has been the culmination of the stories I've processed. I truly believe that stories have helped me develop into the person I am today. I don't know if that's a good thing. The thing is that I think storytelling is extremely overlooked as an actual skill. But the problem is that storytelling is one of the most valuable skills anybody on this earth can have, to the point that it can make you powerful and influential. It sounds a little like a dictator, but hopefully it's in a good way. So let's talk about how and why stories are so powerful. Well, for one, they release the same neurotransmitters and hormones as the most powerful emotion of all, love. Most notably dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. Let's start with dopamine. As most people know, dopamine gives you pleasure, specifically through expectation, anticipation, and suspense. And when that expectation is met, your brain rewards itself. Rewards. I have a hard time saying that word. Rewards. Rewards. Fuck me. So think about some of the best stories of all time. They build suspense and they either reward you at the end or they leave you with a cliffhanger so that you're left with that suspense and you want more. And this is why if you watch anything with a good story, you're pretty much able to escape reality. The next one is oxytocin, or the love hormone. This hormone allows you to trust and bond to other people. Essentially, it is the thing that allows us to empathize. And for stories, it's why you're able to feel so strongly and passionately about a character that is often not even real. It allows you to feel the same thing that they're feeling. So when they're hurting, you hurt for them. And when they've achieved something, you feel excited and happy for them, kind of living vicariously through them. That's powerful because it makes the person being told the story feel more human. And hopefully, most of us, if you're not like a serial killer, want to feel a little bit more human. Last on this list are endorphins. These are your body's natural pain relievers, so they help to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, we normally associate endorphins with working out, but in the case of storytelling, they are released through laughter as well as the overall storytelling experience. When you feel this kind of relief, you begin to associate it with the story, and you become attached to the characters and the story as well. It is this combination of neurotransmitters and hormones that allow you to feel pretty much euphoric when an amazing story is laid out before you. To be able to change the way people think, feel, and even motivate the way that they act is something we often don't think is possible, unless you force someone. I promise you that it's not as hard as you might think. Let's test it out on you. So a couple of years ago, my cousin and his two friends came to visit from Germany. And this was their first time in America. So, it's kind of a big deal. And we did a bunch on the trip. We went to Canada, we went to San Francisco. It was one of the more relaxing nights because we'd been doing so much. And it was like, okay, let's just go to the downtown area here in Tacoma. I just wanted them to see the local area. We go down, we're just kind of people watching, It's, a crisp, like, fall night. Everybody's out, by the bars. Everybody's all dressed up, all bougie, ready to get it poppin'. It's like club time. So we just kind of, go up and down the main street. It's kind of really, pretty. There's nice brick buildings. Everything just seems lively. But on the way back to the car, we pass by this really dark, kind of wide alley where you'd see dumpsters, and as we're walking, we kind of see a shadowy figure start to emerge. And this young woman, she is dressed really well, she's really pretty, and she kind of she kind of shuffles out of this dark alley, just looking shocked. So as she comes out, we're looking at her because she looks so dazed and confused, and we notice that she's barefoot and she doesn't have shoes in her hand. And so she stops and looks at me and just stares at me in the eye and says, "I'm so sorry, but I don't know how I got here." So we stood there kind of looking at each other like we don't know what we're going to do. We don't know how to help this woman. And so I just said, "Do you remember anything? Like, what is the last thing that you remember for how you got here?" And she said, "Well, I was with my fiance at one of the bars, just, a block down. And last thing I remember was being there with him." And then the next thing she knew, she woke up in the alley. So of course we asked, "What can we do for you?" And she said, "Can I please just try to call my fiance?" And she seemed really nervous about doing this. She said she was sorry. She said, "Please, I'm not crazy." And she was even showing us her big diamond engagement ring in desperation. So I gave her my phone and she called. And she called actually a couple of times. The phone rang, but no one picked up. And as she did that, I saw her getting more and more scared. And eventually she started to tear up. She started to say, "I just don't understand what could have happened to me." And for us, it was the same thing. I could feel her emotions, and I knew she was thinking of all of these dark possibilities that could have happened. Anything could have happened, and none of us knew. I continued to push her for questions, just trying to extract any information that I could. But the reality was that she knew so little, and I could see it. I could see the fear and the panic and the wonder of what happened. Anything could have happened, and all of us wanted to know. Until finally, the end. Yes, I did just end a story in the middle of the story, but were you focused? Were you starting to imagine the same things in your mind? Did you feel empathy for her? Did you wonder what she wondered, what we wondered? Did you find a little bit of suspense from it? I mean, it wasn't the best story, but hopefully it did the job. Stories are a gateway into each other's minds, and we've been telling stories since humans have been able to communicate. Early humans used cave drawings, chants, myths, and language to pass on knowledge and culture. It is stories that allow us to live on and to communicate and understand humans of the past and the future. If you want that connection to others, then your stories are worth telling. You've just got to learn how to tell them, because at first they do suck. Well, I hope you enjoyed Storytime and this kind of abstract-ish concept. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.